Political correctness has infiltrated our society for so long and to such a degree that some people who call themselves conservatives have fallen to the PC brainwashing without even realizing it. The case of Donald Trump telling Megyn Kelly that she had blood coming out of her eyes and wherever is one of the most blatant examples of how political correctness has twisted even the people that openly oppose the PC culture. When I first heard that statement, my impression was that he got tired of trying to explain to idiots and didn't even try to finish the statement eyes, ears, nose, or mouth. Because everyone knows that when a person's head gets put under enormous pressure, you start bleeding from these places. My impression was that he thought people were smart enough to understand that, and that he was subjected to harassment by a person that had an agenda and decided to throw professionalism out the window and use her position as moderator to be abusive. That would be the logical explanation. Who in their right mind would automatically assume the worst of people? Well, we know the media does, and sure enough, the liberal media did what they always do and decided to finish his phrase for him by making a reference to a menstrual cycle and ran with it. That in itself is not troubling because we know the state of the media and it congregates around morality's lowest common denominator. The real surprise was that most of the Republican candidates and even some so-called conservatives decided that they would assume the media was right and act accordingly. This is the same media that has been caught in lies so many times that no one but low-information ignoramuses and shills for big money believe them anymore. Even after Donald said that he never meant to imply anything about a menstrual cycle, and that only deviants would even think of such a thing, they all decided to believe what they thought he meant instead of what he actually said. How convoluted can you get? So, why did Erick Erickson tell Trump not to come to the red state meeting? I've listened to him on the radio and actually enjoy his show. But if he can jump on the liberal media bandwagon and decide to act on what he thought a person meant instead of what that person actually said, then Erick has a big fundamental problem, and my guess is that he has been brainwashed with this PC garbage. I would ask that he step back and objectively assess his actions and come back to the light. As far as insults go, has anyone ever heard of an insult that implies a menstrual cycle that begins with, "She had blood coming from her eyes"? Really? Donald isn't afraid of saying what he means, and if you think otherwise, then you haven't been paying attention. If Donald really wanted to use that insult, wouldn't he have just said something like, "It must have been her time of the month"? How about, "The moon's affecting your judgment"? Or simply, "Are you on your period"? How about, "Whoa, feminazi battalion leader"? Or, "I'll talk to her in a couple of days when she's more herself"? There are so many ways to reference that time of month, either subtly or blatantly, that blood was coming out of her eyes should have been a no-brainer. Apologizing for a made-up story is a PC concept run amok. Strong-minded people don't apologize for things the media makes up, and asking someone to apologize makes you look like a fool. From the first question of the so-called debate, I was appalled at the line of questioning. The candidates were asked to raise their hands? Are we in third grade? The very fact that it did not occur to the moderators that it would look stupid is very telling. Let's carry this further down the idiot street and extend it to the questioners. How about, of all the moderators, can we see by a show of hands just how many actually have a menstrual cycle? Kelly, can you prove when that happens? If you're going to assume someone meant your cycle, then let's prove that by actually telling us when your cycle is, so that we actually know you weren't on the rag when asking questions. Carrying out that line of questioning is childish and immature, but the media jumped on it, which is amazing, because it shows how deep the rot is in our culture. Here's a thought for you people that want to adopt the PC drivel. How about We ask the candidates questions like, what do you think is wrong in our society and what would you do to fix it if you were elected? You know, the basic requirements for the job they're pursuing instead of, 9 years ago you called a woman a name, how do you respond, bull crap. If Donald wasn't such a gentleman, he could have said things like, why are you asking bullshit questions? Do Christians being beheaded not matter to you? How about the security of our nation, or our open borders where illegal aliens are murdering our citizens? Does none of this matter to you? You really want to ask me about name-calling from years ago? Why don't you try again, and this time engage your brain for some substantial questions? The very act of not belittling the moderators like that should tell everyone that he is a professional that wouldn't even think of referring to a menstrual cycle. You people need to get a clue and try to see what's happening to our country. Donald Trump is telling us precisely what the problems are that is causing our cultural rot, and that is never an occasion for an apology. You want an apology? Then apologize to Donald Trump for mischaracterizing him, assuming the worst, and taking his words out of context. Go back and actually read the words he actually said, and if you're capable of being honest with yourself, you'll find that the only ones that refer to Megan's menstrual cycle are the demented media types and the hoodwinked. As for this voter, Donald Trump has my vote, and after the way some of the Republican Party has treated him for stating the truth, I'm almost eager for him to run third party. I have compromised my vote too long by voting for the lesser of two evils ever since President Reagan, and I'm not doing it anymore. If it means giving the Democrats another term in the White House by voting for Trump, then so be it, but my conscience is clear. After winning the last two midterm elections and seeing the Republican majority give the Democrats everything they want, then what will it hurt if a Democrat or Republican gets the office? I'm not casting any more tainted votes. It's too precious to waste. God bless you, Donald Trump, and I hope to see you in the White House.